I know many people will say to just walk away or ignore them, but I am referring to situations where that simply is not an option. Story 1. Stare at them blankly, unamused, then look away and continue associating with the rest of the group as if she never said anything. If you cannot play it off, ignore it completely. That is the best approach. Story 2. The best response to any insult is word, and then move on with your life. It is your response that gives them the power they crave. Never give anyone that level of satisfaction. Story 3. What a strange thing to say is an all-purpose phrase. But walking away, whether literally in the moment or figuratively removing them from your life, is always an option. It is a kindness to tell toxic people that they are toxic. Do not be kind. Let them live their toxic lives. Story 4. It is always an option not to engage with someone. People can say whatever they want. I am only responsible for my words and actions. Story 5. Just tell them, at least the left side of your face isn't ugly. It will have them looking in mirrors for a difference for years. Story 6. Politely tell them that they are not attractive enough to have this sort of attitude. Then keep quiet or walk away. This usually irritates them and makes them look foolish while addressing a painful but valid point. The most beautiful and realistic women do not behave this way. Only others do. Story 7. When would that ever happen? Unless we are arguing, they would just be blurting it out of nowhere. In that case, I do not have to do anything. The awkward silence does it for me. I am not the weirdo in that situation. Story 8. I am 6 feet 3 inches tall, and while I do not have an extraordinarily large penis, I am not suffering. However, if a woman is being condescending for little or no reason, I refuse to give her the time of day or play into it. No reaction from you means no fun for them. Story 9. Just agree with the person. If you start to argue or fight back and you cannot win, just let her talk. Maybe she has insecurities that she cannot deal with. Who cares? It is your life and her opinion, and that is all it is, an opinion. Do not give anyone the opportunity to bring you down. Why cannot you get away from this woman? Story 10. Most of the time, I would ignore it and cut the person off from my life in silence. However, if I was feeling cheeky, I might say something like, "You were not getting it anyway." Story 11. Dude, I am 5 feet 9 inches and normal-sized. I have been with more than my fair share of women. I have never experienced what you are trying to describe here. Story 12. You don't. Just say, all right, and let them go. Easy red flag, and that's how she treats strangers. How is she going to treat you if you are on your deathbed or terminally ill? And those go both ways, my friends. Respect is a lost thing in the world, and to get it back, you have to be the difference in this world. Story 13. That does not sound like sassy to me. It sounds like a dented can that seeks to pay their horrible life forward onto you. The best way to respond is by thanking them for their opinions and wishing them a nice life. Life is too short, no pun intended, to waste it with hurtful mean people. Story 14. I would just laugh because I am exactly 6 feet tall and a little above average in that area, so they are probably just trying to hurt my feelings by using insults they think would affect any man. Story 15. I have never experienced that, but I always had a prepared response. If they made rude comments, I responded by criticizing their personal hygiene. Women generally do not appreciate such remarks. Story 16. Ignore and move on. Such a person deserves to be removed from your awareness. Just go blank toward them and treat them like an inanimate obstacle. Story 17. And there is nothing I can do about that, but I am surprised that you could have made a change yet decided to remain ignorant. Story 18. Some context would be helpful because you are making it sound like there are women everywhere waiting to confront men on the street about their height and genital size. Story 19. I am a 31-year-old woman and can honestly say that as an adult, I have never heard another woman in real life express a dislike of men who are not tall. Additionally, in conversations I have been part of about penis size, we have all agreed that too big is painful and not something we want. Obviously, my experience may be biased due to the type of people I choose to hang out with, but I just wanted you to know that outside of social media and online dating, it is genuinely not something we are overly concerned with. It is easy for me to say, I know, But I am definitely not the only one who would prefer to be with an average height man who does not have to crouch down to kiss me and who has a smaller penis that does not cause discomfort. I have dated very tall men and it is just so inconvenient. I am average height, 165 centimeters. I believe that is 5 feet 4 inches. If a woman is being sassy about these things, she does not even deserve a response. Ignore her and move on. Sorry you have to deal with this nonsense. And best of luck with your dating life. Story 20. Calling a woman overweight and unattractive will stop her in her tracks and make her quiet or worse. Every time. Look, I can think of many better things to do with my time and energy than to give my attention to someone who has nothing better to do than speak negatively about others. I am going to go over here and mind my own business unless you really want to start an argument. Story 21. I had this one girl I hadn't seen in a while say, "You have gained a bit of weight." So I responded, "You have gotten lip fillers." Story 22. Who cares about sassy women? I do not, and you should not either. The best response to any nonsense about height or penis size is to live a well-lived life. Let the haters hate. Be your authentic self and be happy. Seriously, you cannot win an argument or an insult contest with a foolish person. Story 23. Women appreciate attention. Ignoring her is often the best approach, as it removes the attention she seeks from the interaction. Story 24. They are testing you to see how you respond. If you respond in a witty way, you will pass the test. Story 25. Even if you cannot leave, you can ignore them. Tell them that you are ending the conversation and just stand there. What are they going to do? You have a comfortable position. In most cases, you are bigger or at least stronger. You can just stand there, look at them, and calmly say, "And what are you going to do about it?" "Nothing." "Okay." Story 26. I just agree with them while making sure they know I think it is funny. This makes them 100 times more mad. Story 27. It depends on why she is doing it and on our background. The fun way is, if you really dislike her, to dig into her like a hot knife through butter. But as fun as it is just you lowering yourself to her level. You should be above her. Just engage with her with maturity, calmness, and common sense. People who throw out insults do not respond well to common sense. Add a hint of disappointment as well. Story 28. I disagree with the information you presented. You cannot always walk away, nor can you always ignore every situation. If this is a relentless attack, do not be upset when I respond by using whatever easy targets I know will bother you. I usually give a warning before crossing this line, telling you to stop, or you will regret it. Story 29. I cannot honestly say that I have had that happen since high school days. It is pretty déclassé. I would likely just give a surprised laugh or snort to indicate I found their remarks funny, if rude. But things like that are designed to get a reaction. It is important not to reward the behavior by giving the desired reaction. Never be a slave to someone else's words. Story 30. I would reply, but it would not be sporting to engage in a battle of wits with someone who is unarmed. The best thing, though, would be to ignore them completely. What they want is drama. Story 31. Tell her she has a mustache even if she does not. Tell her her toes are busted and her skin is ashy. If you really want her to be quiet, tell her she smells fishy and make a face. Story 32. How you respond depends on how you want to be perceived. That is why most people say to walk away. For starters, as the man in the situation, insulting a woman will make you look worse than a woman does when she insults a man. It is childish behavior to engage in these insult matches. You are playing a losing game. Additionally, walking away is often perceived not as a neutral, does not want to start trouble way, but as the more mature, confident, reassured option. People think, that man is more than I thought he was, because other men would just insult her back. The women or people that this will impress are the only ones worth impressing. If they do not realize this, or they see you as lesser for not engaging, then you do not want to impress these people anyway. Rolling about in the mud with them just makes you dirty. 2. That being said, if you are going to respond, you should have considered the above and come to the conclusion that you are okay with repercussions. Being generally witty and intelligent will allow you to deliver comments that are more effective. You want to make other people laugh while making your target stop talking. Comments that leave no way to come back. This will depend on the person. Consider their insecurities, how others might see them, and how they see themselves. Ideally, choose a topic that they cannot change about themselves or their lives, at least not without great effort. Because then, after the altercation, they still need to live with that fact and everybody will know it. Comments like, "You can try to win this battle, but you have no hope of winning the war." Alternatively, you can make them look foolish or worse because of the comment they made. For example, "I do not get the joke. Are you saying I should be ashamed of something I cannot change about myself?" Call them out in front of everybody without directly calling them out. If it is about size in a personal area, do not take that approach. You do not want to imply that they are correct. In this instance, something along the lines of them fantasizing about you would probably work well. For example, "Do you spend a long time each day thinking about the size and shape of my genitals? I can promise you this. It looks a lot smaller than usual when I am looking at you." There are plenty of options, but in most cases, it is best to just walk away, or if you really cannot, keep in mind it is still not worth engaging most of the time. Charisma on Command is an online channel which covers, among many social topics, this sort of material as well, with examples and ideas. I strongly recommend exploring their channel for informative videos like this. Story 33. Man, some things are out of our control. It is difficult. But as long as you put your best foot forward with the things you can control, you have nothing to be ashamed of as a person. If people cannot see that, they are not worth engaging with, and I promise you that you do not want to be drawn into the pit of despair that is their existence. Story 34. I'm a little surprised no one has suggested honestly telling her her comments are hurtful, and that you would appreciate her not doing it anymore. Story 35. I was originally going to suggest that you harshly criticize this girl in front of your friends. However, I took a moment to ask myself, would I teach this to my own sons? No, I wouldn't. This is what I would teach them. Do not respond at all. Focus on yourself and your confidence, and leave the entire friend group behind with their immature behavior. Exercise regularly, focus on building a good career, and these people will become irrelevant to you. You will stop caring about them because you will know you look good, and you will have financial stability. You will find new friends who are on the same level as you. Also, the facts are on your side. Being under 6 feet tall is not a barrier to finding an attractive, loving partner. Life is the real world, not a dating app. 55% of women say they prefer men over 6 feet tall, but only 14% of men are this height. This is an unrealistic double standard. Women definitely date men under 6 feet tall. Women appreciate a nice, fit physique much more than height. The women you want as friends and partners will always prefer genuineness and empathy over height. If you are fit, genuine, empathetic, and financially stable enough to support yourself and at least split costs on dates or nights out, you have the advantage over many men. Select your new circle of friends based on who is genuine and empathetic, and you will be happier. Even more important, studies show that 85% of women are satisfied with average-sized genitalia. Larger sizes can be uncomfortable or painful for women. There is nothing wrong with you. This is another unrealistic double standard. The problem lies with the girl making fun of you and your entire friend group for not confronting her behavior. They all seem immature and shallow. These are not the people you want in your circle. Adults do not waste time or energy criticizing others based on their bodies. Focus on your health, fitness, and financial goals. Start talking to women confidently, go out on some dates, and move on from your previous friend group. They are not worth your time or effort. Focus on improving yourself. This is how you succeed. Elevate yourself beyond these people. Story 36. How is it not an option? Are you with a person who is abusive? So I'm sorry. That is not something a stable and kind individual would do. That is just cruel and disgusting behavior no one should tolerate. Story 37. It's not big enough for you? Tighten your loose pussy up then. No, but for real, I'd probably just leave and never talk to her again, and then find myself a girl who can enjoy me. We can also use a few toys if she really wants something more. No shame in making use of other things as long as we respect each other enough to explore and not shame. I'm not dating someone just for their physical attributes. Story 38. Different options work better for different people. My preferred tactic is to call them out on it. There are various approaches to do this, such as saying, "What a disgusting thing to say to someone." Sometimes a little prolonged eye contact after they speak, followed by ignoring them and moving on, works well. Sometimes responding with an insult of equal or greater severity can make them recognize the hypocrisy when they get hurt by it. Occasionally, I repeat, "What did you say?" multiple times as if I cannot hear or understand them. At some point, they realize what they are saying is mean or feel awkward saying it louder for others to hear, which makes them reconsider their behavior. There are very few situations you cannot walk away from. If you are at a social event with friends and prefer not to try any of the above, you can actively avoid the person and, if asked why, be clear about your reasons. Story 39. I honestly just laugh and play along with the joke most of the time. My response is something like, "Oh yeah, I got that 1-inch poker," or something stupid, and then laugh. If you play along with it and joke, it comes across as if their insult didn't land, or you didn't get it as an insult. It shows your confidence because you don't get upset about it. Story 40. If she is trying to ridicule my size, I say, "I'm happy to be of average size. It's not my fault you are cavernous." It's like throwing a hot dog down a hallway. For height, I say, "I can put on boots, but there is only so much you can do about that face and that mole." Damn. Story 41. Is this something you encounter regularly? How would so many people know your penis size to have enough information to be rude about it, which most people would not do? Or are some of these people who attack you about a penis size they have never even seen? That would be hard to take personally, as it would not be about your actual penis. I can only think of one person who ever attacked me about height or penis size in the end game of becoming my ex-wife. It was pretty transparent at the time. She was just thrashing around for anything she could say that might hurt me. When she got to those topics, it was almost comical how little foundation there was to her rage. Story 42. Say, "Thank you for the input. I'll take that into consideration." Polite way to decline and say it every time. Same phrase. Don't switch it up. Just that. She's going to get bored and realize it's not affecting you. Story 43. Pause. Count 90 seconds in your head. That is how long it takes for any physical reaction to pass, such as adrenaline spikes and the fight or flight response. After that, simply ignore her and continue with your life. Story 44. Just state the obvious fact. It is an oversimplified, superficial way of viewing the world. As such, it is probably not a real issue but simply a power move and a weak one to provoke a reaction from you. Most certainly, it is meant to distract from her own insecurities. If she keeps focusing on it, simply give her a look like you would give a 5-year-old who called you ugly and ignore her. That behavior is not worth your time. Story 45. Ignoring is always an option. It is the reaction they are after. Do not react. They are not sassy. They are people you do not want to interact with at all. Story 46. I cannot imagine a situation where ignoring them or walking away is not an option. These women clearly have no intent to sleep with you, so why do you care what they think about your physical appearance? If you respond aggressively, you only escalate the argument. You do not need to associate with these people. Story 47. These people are looking to drag you into an argument to make you look bad. They will fight unfairly to achieve this. There is nothing you can say or do except show your silent disdain. Story 48. When is it not an option? You do not have to deal with difficult people. There are many things you could say back. But why bother? Do not let her drain your time. Story 49. It has not happened to me yet, but if I did receive an immature insult like that, I would say, "Goodbye," then block the person without another word. Story 50. Just look at them blankly as if you did not hear what they are saying. Look at them for a while as if you just missed what they said. Then go back to whatever you were doing. They will either feel the need to repeat it and sound like even more of a fool, or notice that words do not affect you and you do not care what they think. It is a total mind game for anyone trying to bait you. Story 51. My go-to response is that their makeup and operations do not mask their insecurities as much as they think. Make no mistake, we all see it. Story 52. I don't understand the height issue. I am 5 feet 3 inches to 5 feet 5 inches with the right shoes. It has not affected me much. Sure, I get turned down for it, but not enough for it to bother me. In what situations can you not ignore it? Story 53. Be understanding and sympathetic to her situation. Height. Yes, I understand your struggle. Being with a shorter man can sometimes make a taller woman feel unfeminine, almost ogre-like, especially if she has also been struggling with her weight. Size. Of course, I understand that after pregnancy, a woman can struggle with excessive looseness in that area, and it takes more girth to fill the cavernous space. Story 54. Ignore them, or you can call them fat or point out some flaw about their face. Then, every time you engage with them, occasionally look at a part of their face other than their eyes, as if it is distracting you, before returning to eye contact. This will annoy them and may make them self-conscious and think twice about picking on you. This approach can get under their skin without being too aggressive. Story 55. Once, a woman in my friend group, whom I do not personally get along with, acted out unprovoked in front of everyone, saying I had a small stick and laughing. Despite everyone in the group knowing this is objectively untrue, I still felt embarrassed and a bit angry. The comment came out of nowhere, and it is hurtful to be lied about and body shamed in front of your circle by someone clearly abrasive who had too much to drink again. At least this time, she was collected enough not to intentionally spill drinks over people's heads. My reaction was to say, you should really be the one to body shame others, and to continue to dislike and ignore her forever. Story 56. I've never had this happen. I have dealt with rude people of both genders, and in fact some women who probably treat their male peers like this, but who see me as older and not worth the time in the first place, so I don't get the treatment. Still, my answer is the same as to their general rudeness. I don't respond. Say what you will about the film Kingsman, the Secret Service, it had one piece of great advice for men and civilized people in general. To paraphrase, ignore rudeness as if it didn't happen because it shouldn't have happened. Nothing you can say will fix a person like that. Anything you say will empower them and encourage further harassment. So meet their gaze long enough to acknowledge that you heard them, then disengage and ignore. You say it's not an option? That's your choice. The way they act is their choice. Your choice is how you react or if you react at all. I'm asserting that you do not have to. If you reject that immediately, what happens next is on you as you chose that path. I can't say what a woman like that will do if you ignore her, but it will be on her rather than you. Story 57. You mean a child? You are describing the actions of a literal child. The thing is, by not reacting and maintaining a neutral appearance, you just make them look obnoxious to everyone around you. However, it is unlikely someone would react this way without an argument. If it is a heated exchange, you just need a good friend to respond playfully while you ignore the insults. If my friend were in this situation, I might throw out a lose weight or we are short enough to smell that remark. I would take that risk for a friend and lower myself to their level. Story 58. Why care about what they say and why feel attacked? Sometimes I joke it's a third keg. Other times I joke about it being hard to find. Just go with it. They are the insecure ones. Story 59. There are many ways to handle someone hateful. Downplay her argument or turn it against her. For example, say, I'm not into hate sex, move on, woman, since she is talking about sex. If this is just women talking nonsense without ever having seen you naked before, who cares? Just act as if they were children. Ignore them or look down on them just like a kid would if they punched someone. About height, who cares, to be honest? If she argues that height matters in sex positions, tell her to bend the knee. Story 60. Depending on your country, walking away is the best option for difficult people. They may have you arrested if you confront them. Women and men do not fight fairly, and no one will support you when they attack first because when you retaliate, they cannot handle it. Their limited reasoning is not well designed, and society often protects them. Do not start what you cannot finish. Story 61. A person of any gender who belittles others for any reason is a pathetic human being. Their opinion has no weight because they do not have the gravitas of a well-developed person. I would simply say, why would you think your opinion has any value to me? And talk to someone else. Story 62. Why isn't walking away an option? What interests do you have? If they are so important that you cannot leave, all you have to do is talk so they understand the offense and endure. Story 63. I always pretend I did not hear the question or remark and have them repeat the joke 3 times. Then I look them dead in the eye, shake my head disappointed, and say, really? It works every time, especially when there are people watching. Story 64. I guess banter. Most people are taller than me. What is your point? What makes you think I want to attract women like you? I have more of a refined taste. Story 65. If both walking away and ignoring them are not options, you have only verbally or physically retaliating left. In this scenario, choose one. If you want witty comebacks, just ask for them directly. Story 66. Tell her belly gets in the way, that her intimate area smells, and that you would not be with her under any circumstances. Story 67. That's tough. Fortunately, most of my friends have seen me naked more times than they care to, and I couldn't care less about height or size. The easiest thing to make her stop talking is to start showing the video of the last time you were with her. Story 68. I am 6 feet tall and do not care about another person's opinion, but I can be harsh, often picking apart every little detail to find insecurities and keep going until they walk away upset. I might mention a small mole on their cheek, a blemish they tried hiding with makeup, a scar, their weight, or a past relationship. Nothing is off limits. For example, my ex criticized me for moving back in with my mother, claiming she is doing everything for me. I asked why she was so interested and if she was jealous. Her mother is deceased. Do not make attacks if you cannot handle them in return. Story 69. If she is trying to make fun of my body, then it is too late. She already got naked with me, but if they talk about height, then I talk about breast size. Story 70. Once she starts insulting a man for his height or genital size, I think we have passed the point where sassy is an appropriate term for her, especially if this is without reason. Story 71. Where are you meeting these women? I have never had this happen. Is this a common experience? Story 72. I simply do not mind this confident woman's provocations. I cannot change some features of mine, and I am comfortable being myself. Story 73. I know many people will say to just walk away or ignore them, but I am referring to situations where that simply is not an option. You are absolutely right, but you are also unhelpful by not providing examples of these specific situations. Story 74. People cannot attack your insecurities if you are not insecure about them. Some woman whom you do not like anyway thinks you are too short and is imagining what your genitalia looks like. That is not really your concern. Let them not like you. You are not missing out. Story 75. You expand on their comment and ask them to say it again or explain it further. Then, when they have expressed themselves sufficiently, simply walk away. Story 76. If I do respond, it is usually with I do not remember asking for your opinion, and if I wanted an opinion about me, it would not be from you. Generally, as a top comment, although I usually give more of a death glare than a blank one, I will hold it really uncomfortably long. Story 77. In what world would walking away from someone who is disrespecting you not be an option? What is the context here? Story 78. Have we ever taken a poll on where and in what subcultures this is happening? I have never experienced this issue that apparently many people go through. Is it an age-related phenomenon, or does it vary by country? What is going on? Story 79. By having the emotional maturity not to respond or engage with it. Are these assertive women tying you to a chair and screaming at you? Story 80. I do not deal with sassy people. There is no need to dignify their insecure behavior with a response or reaction. If you cannot ignore them, then ignore the comment and make sure you do not have to interact with that person again in the future. Story 81. I fail to envision a situation where you cannot simply ignore something someone says, even to the point that it annoys them. Story 82. If she is talking about your size because you two were intimate, one simple phrase usually stops the foolishness. Say it with me now. I still succeed, though. Story 83. They are looking to provoke a reaction, drag you down to their level, and beat you with experience. The only winning move is not to play. Story 84. Never had a problem with my height, weight, and size, however, I am how I am. When they mention weight, I overact my surprise and say, when did this happen? Seriously, if you just now noticed, how slow are you? With my size, I am average but have never had a complaint. There is more than one way to please a woman. I probably have a snappy comeback for that too, like perhaps trying to emulate a whale vagina is not her best choice. Silence is golden, but a good comeback is priceless. Story 85. The only places you cannot just walk away from are situations at work. If your coworkers are discussing the size of your genitals at work, it is time to engage with human resources. Story 86. I mean, you said you cannot ignore them, but I feel giving them any kind of attention is what they seek, and I would not care at all what someone like that says. Story 87. I'm sorry, I'm a grower, and it's hard to get fully erect when someone smells unpleasant down there. Then walk away. Story 88. Give her a confused, almost quizzical look, then return to conversing with the rest of the group. Do not acknowledge her existence unless she makes a positive contribution. Story 89. That's very strange that you decided to share that out loud, with a blank expression. Then proceed to tell them that they need to leave. Do not acknowledge it or engage in any further conversation. Story 90. So what you are trying to tell me is that you are loose down there, because none of the other women I have been with have complained. Story 91. I usually say, neat. Do you want a reward? In response to a girl saying something like, you're only 6 feet? I only date guys who are 6 feet 3 inches or taller. Or, I'm not into guys who smoke weed. Story 92. There is more power in walking away than confrontation. At my age, I do not tolerate disrespect or rudeness. No one has the right to damage my self-esteem or diminish the efforts I worked hard for over something as trivial as my height or appearance. Forget them. Story 93. I'm short. Consequently, my children are short. My older child realized this around kindergarten, and it became a minor issue. We discussed how being, on average, shorter than everyone else was unlikely to change throughout his entire life. We then talked about being teased for it. I recommended the Steve Martin Roxanne method and watched that scene with him because if you already make fun of yourself for being short, it diminishes other people's enjoyment of harassing you for it. In other words, own it. Story 94. I am 6 feet 1 inch tall, so I am excluded from the height issue. To the confident, attractive ones who commented on my manhood, I told them to deal with it. The plain ones I ignored. That was during my teens and early 20s. I do not respond to that kind of energy anymore. Story 95. Calmly ask them to repeat what they said because you do not understand what they said or why they said it. Story 96. How would the subject even come up in the first place between the two of you? If you cannot walk away now, you better walk away later, but never not walk away. Story 97. Attack us for what? Where did it come from? What was the conversation or confrontation like between us and this attack by this woman? Story 98. Lift your head up first, then follow with eye contact. Then ignore. Like really ignore. No smirks, smiles, chuckles, or eye rolls. Make brief eye contact, then they no longer exist. Trust me, they hate this. Story 99. If you really need something to say, you could say, I can't help but notice you're preoccupied by my size. Then say, tell me more. The best approach is to glance at them briefly, then act as if they do not exist and that whatever came out of their mouth was not worth anyone's time. Story 100. I am not sure what situation you are referring to where removing yourself from an unwise person is impossible. I would simply walk away if I encountered someone like that. Story 101. My height guarantees I can't stoop to your level. I might be short, but unlike you, I'll never be shallow. How long have you been preoccupied with me and my size? After her comments, quiet down the group and reply, I'm sorry. I don't think I understood what you said. Could you say that again? Did a little person break your heart? I'm sorry for your loss. Being tall wouldn't make you any less interested in talking about me. Story 102. I just go with it. The thing is, I'm confident about my height and my gentleman's size, so I really don't care what anyone else says. Someone calls me short, I crouch down, put my knees in my shirt, and start walking around on my hands and feet like a monkey while saying, Yep, I'm so short I can find all the hiding spots. There's dirt under that dresser. The best thing about me is I can't even predict what I'll do. Seriously, my friends tell me all the time that I do the weirdest things, not bad, but definitely weird. It's funny to see how people react. Honestly, I love joking about how small my junk is. It's so small that it's only one atom. Or I'm surprised the doctors could tell I was a boy. Just stupid stuff. That might be one of the contributing factors as to why I'm struggling to get a partner currently. But if they can't joke around with me, then I don't want that kind of relationship anyway. Story 103. I would look straight at them and say, Why are you so insecure that you feel the need to put other people down? And as they stutter around, I would say, good talk, and then ignore them. Story 104. I'm not a guy, but if I was, I would just ask why they are so obsessed with you and your body that they have to bring it up so often, and then call them a creep for doing it. If they say they are not or do not let up, you respond with, If I always brought up your body or private areas, you would call me a creep. Stop being creepy. It is gross. Story 105. My go-to is to wait for them to finish, shrug my shoulders, and continue my conversation as if she were not even there to say anything. I once told a woman, Hey, whatever you need to tell yourself to sleep better at night. And I swear you would have thought I called her a very offensive name through a megaphone. She just lost her temper and started screaming and throwing drinks. Story 106. That never happened to me, I think. If it did, I would probably be calmly ruthless while verbally assessing her level of maturity and her reasons for doing that, similar to how a doctor delivers test results. I would never attack her in the same way because grown men don't do that. I would just make her feel bad for her bad behavior, not about who she is. Story 107. I learned that women are often better than men when it comes to arguments. They will stop you mid-sentence and shout, Liar! Moreover, the society we live in seems to be okay with them trying to hurt us, but we cannot reply in kind. Act as if you have not even heard what she said. Story 108. I have a very small penis, similar to how your large size would have been considered morbidly obese 10 years ago. Either she claims she is not overweight, implying my penis is slightly above average, or she agrees. In that case, you can start to criticize her weight until she becomes upset, as she verbally attacked you first. No matter how much she denies it, she is actually sensitive about her weight and has been for years. This happens every time. Story 109. Just point out how socially unacceptable it is to say, Hey, what a weird thing to say, and then continuing as if nothing happened goes a long way. Granted, you have to read the room. If it is obviously playful banter, it is better to just play into it. Story 110. Dive deeper into the conversation. Really try to understand their point of view without judgment, which is difficult. I am pretty sure you will eventually either get them to realize how petty they are or you will walk away smiling, with or without her. Story 111. Being raised by my mom, I'm sassy right back to her. It's fun and funny to me. Side note. In my experience, most times a woman says something sassy or mean to me, she is actually flirting but masking it with meanness. Story 112. Once, a woman told me I looked 1 out of 10 during an event in a cafe. Nobody had asked her anything. I wasn't hitting on her or communicating with her in any way. She came to our table and said it out of nowhere. After looking at her for a few seconds, I responded by asking, Are you done? It was not the best comeback, but to my surprise, everybody cheered me. What she said was correct, by the way. I had a hair transplant and it did not look good. Story 113. Laugh in their face for thinking they can attack my self-esteem and walk away from them. That is not sass. That is being unkind. Story 114. I grew up at lunch tables where we used to roast each other every day. Things would sometimes start fights. Anytime these women get uppity, I shut that down. Story 115. Literally treating them like they do not matter will get under their skin very badly. People are often mean because they want to feel important or of higher social status. Story 116. I like Triple H's line to Stephanie during the Attitude Era. Even a 747 looks small when you're flying into the Grand Canyon. If that doesn't work, go for the weight, but do it subtly. Don't come out and just say, "You're fat." Say something like, "Glad to see you're finally eating." Then they won't know if you're saying they were too skinny before or if they're putting on weight. It will stay in their head for a while. Only use this weapon if they truly deserve it. It is a powerful one, so be careful with it. Story 117. Big smile and say, "Well, good thing that you do not have to worry about that, because you are certainly not my type either." Story 118. Poker face, unamused smile, eye roll. Anything but stay silent and do not give them the satisfaction of getting to you. Story 119. I have never personally dealt with a woman like this. Thank God. I pray for all my brothers who have had to suffer this kind of nonsense. Story 120. As a 6'2" man, I usually just agree with them. One thing is just funny for them to shame me over, and the other thing I agree with them on. Story 121. I would say, if you do not like it, you are free to leave. That is me. I might add, stretched out, huh? Can I park my car in there? Story 122. Counterattack. Ask her weight, then call it nonsense and give your own guess. Ask what her body count is, then call it nonsense and give your own guess. Story 123. I just act like I do not know them. You were talking to me? Who are you again? Then I walk away. If that is not an option, I direct that to another man. Like, damn, did she just say that to you? Then I walk away. If that is also not an option, I just nod and walk away. Story 124. Walking away is always an option. You dictate your boundaries, not anyone else. If it is a job involving harassment or sexual harassment, the same principle applies elsewhere. Let mutual friends and acquaintances know you are done with that person and the disrespect. If they do not respect that, cut them out of your life as well. Do not make the mistake I made with family and school by believing I had to work through it and maintain relationships with abusive people. Stick to the people who respect you. It is not a debate. Stay safe, happy, and respected. Nobody else. Story 125. Ask them about their weight and bra size because you will only date women under 60 kilograms with at least a C cup. Story 126. I was big enough for you to want me. The option to leave is always there. I am not going to be where someone disrespects me. What is there to gain? Not a soul on this planet is worth keeping me insecure and unloved. I have this thing called respect for myself, and more people should try it out. It is pretty good. Story 127. I've had the first one. I used to just say that I put the inches somewhere else. Or, if I was quick enough, "Oh, that's where I left the other inches." Right up your ass. Story 128. If you must say something, I would respond with, "Your words would have merit if you were worth someone to look at." Frankly, it is embarrassing to have such audacity with nothing to back it up. Story 129. I'm a woman, but I don't support body shaming from either gender. Here's my tip. If someone says something to you and you cannot ignore it or walk away, say, "Look, I have been ignoring it to be nice, but now that you're not being nice, I'm going to say it. Can you please shut your mouth or go brush your teeth? Your breath smells really bad and is making me want to vomit." Women are genuinely fearful of being smelly. This fear makes her hesitant to respond because she has to talk, and you can pretend there is a bad smell every time she speaks, embarrassing her even more. She will never forget that moment, I promise you. Story 130. Tell her breath smells bad and that her nipples point in different directions and that her feet make her look like an elephant. Then ask in all seriousness, "Can you actually jump?" Then say, "Go away." Your backside looks like a badly packed parachute. Story 131. Where is that weight scale again? How heavy are you? Small appendage? I will not raise my voice in case there is an echo down there. Story 132. Wait. Just as you can never go right with someone you care for, you can never go wrong with reminding someone of their burdens. Story 133. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that request. Story 134. I'm petty, so when they go low, I go to hell. Take a good look at her and find something she's insecure about. You know, you're the ugliest in your friend group, right? I mean, your skin looks like a crunch bar. I usually don't date girls with baby fat, but I really want to give you a chance. I settled for you. You have the breasts of a 12-year-old boy, or the good old. Look her up and down and just smirk while saying, I can really be mean right now, but I'm just not going to say it. If you're a good person, then you'll walk away. Be like Christ. Story 135. I am going to tell you right now that from my own personal experience as a woman, the vast majority of women do not talk about penis size nearly as often as men do. Unless it is exceptionally large, 9 inches or more, or exceptionally small, 2 inches. No woman is discussing your penis with other women. We honestly do not care. However, there is a general interest in size from any woman you intend to have sex with because, frankly, we need to assess potential risks. If I am going to be entirely honest, the overwhelming majority of men under 45 are not nearly as good in bed as they think they are. They often lack finesse and the ability to read their partner and communicate, so women are accustomed to being disappointed by sex partners for a number of different reasons. You being on the small side is not a deal breaker for us, but being physically overwhelmed to the point that my bladder feels like it has been through a few rounds with a boxer is. Story 136. I am very good at spotting people's flaws and insecurities. I have a sharp, lightning-fast wit. People take their shots at me at their peril. Story 137. Considering I am not insecure about my size, I just laugh it off and say, we both know you are going to be begging for it later. Story 138. Women can be just as violent as men, but their violence is relational and expressed through gossiping or belittling. Kevin Samuels advised to remember the acronym SIGN: shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. What triggers a violent response like belittling from a woman often involves feeling convicted, triggered, or held accountable. For them, it serves as a form of deflection. If you are on the receiving end of a woman's sassiness, it likely means you have triggered her. Consider it a win and laugh it off, because they do not like to see you unaffected by their words. The worst response is to take it personally, as they seek to get under your skin to distract from their own insecurities. Story 139. That is her preference, and your worth is not determined by someone else's preference. Chances are you probably upset the lady, and she is going for the low blow. Story 140. Any man who feels the need to attack a woman already shows he is of low character and lacks courage. The real person walks away. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.